Assalamu alaikum. Let me make a confession. I have been watching and hearing Barrister Aetazaz Ahsan for more than 30 years, and I have been personally interacting with him for almost 20 years. Yet I am intrigued by him. I'm intrigued because he does not neatly fit either into the role of a lawyer or a politician or an academic. I see him as an intelligent, brilliant Pakistani mind that deals and grapples with the history and challenges of Pakistan. And I see today's session as part of a series of sittings and discussions with him about Pakistan. Barrister Aetazaz, thank you so much for finding time for me. As I said, you don't neatly fit into any box, neither as a, neither as a politician, neither as a lawyer, neither as an author, academic, though you have written more than one brilliant academic book. How do you define yourself?
Oh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I am very devoted to the legal profession, and as a profession, not as really an income yielding activity. It does yield me a lot of income, but I opted to remain in this profession at a time when I was a briefless lawyer and I had the option of joining the civil service of Pakistan as the premier candidate in United Pakistan. But I opted to remain in the law.
That still intrigues me. I can understand that because I left civil services, but I would like people to understand. You topped the civil services of Pakistan, which was a huge pride. You'd never joined.
I never joined.
Why?
The question first that I think needs to be addressed is, why did I take the examination and sit for it at all?
Right.
I took the examination. I came back from England in 1967 after having done the bar and law from
Cambridge. Yes.
And there was a disappointment in the next few months or year because I remained a marginal, briefless lawyer, and people would make, in fact, small of young barristers. The senior lawyer would be sitting, if I was introduced to him in the bar, somebody would say, you lift a brick and there's a barrister.
You took the CSS exam, you topped the country, and you decided, the decision when you decided, I will not join Central Superior Services. Why?
I would not have joined. I would have been. I wouldn't have fitted in. And by essentially, by this time we had in the university, Punjab University, where I was lecturing part time as a law lecturer. That job I had got, which got me 400 rupees a month. It was a retainer, and I was a part of a leftist Marxist group of professors. And
so you were an academic at some sort?
Well, in the sense that I've read a lot of...
Many of your critics of Indus Saga have pointed out that Aetazaz Ahsan's writing has a leftist, Marxist leaning in it.
It is a Marxist analysis, in fact, if I would go the closest to a Marxist analysis. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we don't have a history. We just don't have a history. Our history starts in 711 AD with Muhammad bin Qasim. Before that, we don't have a history.
Will it be correct to, looking at Indus Saga, will it be correct to say that Pakistan has been defined for Pakistanis by the outsiders? The British and Indian historians of the 20th century have defined what Pakistan is.
Pakistan, unfortunately, has not even been defined. The definitions that we accept today are not those given by Indian or colonial historians or post-colonial historians. But the Pakistan that we define today is the Pakistan of all those who opposed Pakistan. And it is the orthodoxy's view of Pakistan. When the history of Pakistan starts and all the analysis that is done on Pakistan and its history is through the vision of the history of Islamic Pakistan. Not of Pakistan, but of Islamic Pakistan. But Pakistan has been a plural, multiracial, multi-ethnic, and has had a history prior to Islam also.
I'm interested, thanks for mentioning this. In one of your plenary closing lectures in 2012, January 2012, at Columbia University, which is also my alma mater, you said that Pakistan is a state for Muslims and was not created an Islamic state, but was a state for Muslims. What is the difference?
An Islamic state, I'll give you the definition. An Islamic state is a state where the state itself adopts a religion, like Saudi Arabia, like Somalia, like Iran, like the Taliban Afghanistan was. But a Muslim state is like is a state where the overwhelming majority are Muslims, and it's like France, it's like Britain, it's like Denmark. As much as they are Christian states, we are a Muslim state, and that is what Barrister Jinnah wanted to create.
Would Norway and Denmark would not describe themselves as Christian state? UK, France, they'll describe them, maybe Christians are majority, but they're not Christian states.
They don't, because the state does not adopt a religion, and the state does not decide on the basis of religion between men and women.
What would you respond to all those who take up and say Islamic Republic of Pakistan, like a law minister then in 2011 also challenged you on the floor of the parliament, says that Azaz has gone bonkers. Here is the constitution, this is Islamic Republic of Pakistan.
Well, as I said to the law minister in the parliament, I am amazed that you remember that.
Sher Afghan.
Sher Afghan. I said to the speaker, I said, Mr. Speaker, what is in your name? What is important is what is in the contents. It is a parliamentary democracy. Pakistan is a parliamentary democracy and a federation, a federal parliamentary democracy. And I said, what is it in a name? The minister is called Sher Afghan, the killer of lions. And I'm sure he'll run from this his chair if he saw a mouse. So it's the content. The content is based on...
But there is an aspiration. The framers of 1951 constitution or whatever wanted to call it the objective resolution, the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. So there is an aspiration coming from within Pakistan that we have to be an Islamic state.
All right, let us be an Islamic state. But Pakistan, we will be Islamic state as Pakistan. We must have some individuality, some identity. And what really sort of kept agitating me on this issue was the very fact, what am I? You know, in the time after the breakup of East Pakistan, why did East Pakistan break up? We were Muslim, they were Muslim. Why does Kuwait deny me a visa, or Saudi Arabia, I need to go to Makkah and Medina because of the permission of some human beings, of men, not of Allah Almighty. But I need the visa stamp of the Saudi government.
To do Hajj.
To do Hajj. Why? If we were just Muslims, and that would suffice, we would not need, I would not need a visa, you would not need a visa to go to Hajj. And
So the existence of states is a reality, but you made a very interesting, provocative comment in New York in Columbia University. You said, it was in the context of Bangladesh, you said, Pakistan and Bangladesh were born as two twins tied at hips, and surgery to divide them ultimately had to be painful. What were you really saying?
when I say that I developed that in the Indus Saga. And you see, civilizations, in my estimation, are sired and sustained by huge geographical divides or divisions or features.
Australia, New Zealand, and UK.
China and India, the Himalayas. If it had been flat land, there would have been imperceptible change over a region of thousands of miles distance of, but there's gradual change, not the distance.
Sharp change which we
not the
see.
sharp change.
Agreed.
And now mountains are one, oceans are a third, main impediment or vehicle, and the third is rivers. Rivers sire and sustain civilizations and distinct civilizations. The Indus flowing from the north towards the west into the Persian Gulf or the Arabian Sea will sire and sustain as essentially a different civilization from the Ganges and the Jamra and the Ganga, Jamna and the Brahmaputra coming into a delta 1200 miles away in Bengal. So there will be.
So you militating and rejecting two predominant definitions of Pakistan. One, the British Indian definition that this is a broken part of India. There was one India, what Nehru says in Discovery of India. And the second is General Zia and his followers' definition that it is part of the Islamic world, the Arab world, the Muhammad bin Qasim and all that. You said it is neither part of the Islamist world nor is part of the British India.
That is an extreme position. I don't say we are not part of the Muslim world, but I say we are a distinct Muslim country. And like I said, Kuwait and Jordan and Turkey and Pakistan, there is something distinctly different between themselves. And I draw emphasis on the difference. I do not say that what is Pakistani, what is a Pakistani, he is a Muslim, is a complete answer. It can't be. There are Hindus and Christians also. In fact, when I went to university in England, in my first Christmas, which was December vacation week, the Christmas week, a friend of mine invited me to his house to spend the Christmas weekend with the family. I went there and these were the Palmers. Bernard Palmer was my friend. He was in the next room in hostel, in Downing College. And we sat down for dinner and Mrs. Palmer asked me the question straight away first. Son, where are you from? I said, from Pakistan. Now imagine in 1965 there were people around the world, including England, who had not heard of Pakistan.
Seriously?
And this is a very rich family.
This is Cambridge.
Cambridge. Well, they lived in Bedford,
Right.
in a huge house, mansion, etc. But she said, where is Pakistan? So I said, Auntie, it's
north of India.
Northwest of India.
Right.
So she said, oh, you are the ones that broke away from India.
Oh, precisely. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So there are two definitions. One, we are part of India that broke away because Muslims were communal. Jinnah wanted a fiefdom of his own, and the other is that we were always part of the Muslim Islamist world, and we became Pakistan became when Muhammad bin Qasim came in 712.
Absolutely.
You reject both these definitions.
No, she says, oh, you are the ones. So she knew about Pakistan, but she couldn't have placed
So
it.
you were the ones.
You are the ones who broke
left India.
away from India. I said, yes, auntie. I thought that was a sufficient answer. She said, why did you break away? I said, because we are not Indians. So auntie says to me, you are not Indians. I said, no. She said, then what are you? Very casually. I said, auntie, we are Muslims. She said, aren't the Arabs Muslim? I said, they are Muslims. So why are you one state? I said, no, we are 20 states or some plus minus.
22 Arab-speaking states.
22 Arab-speaking states. She said, so you can't be Arab. You can't call yourself a Pakistani because you are an Arab or an Arab because you are a Pakistani. So what are you? I said, we are, we could be called, we could be Persian and Arabs. She said, no, you can either be Persian or you can be Arabs. You can all be Muslims. But you can't be un-India.
Yes.
You can't be un-India or un-something. I want to know what you are. At this, her
I'm
husband.
sure the Indian viewers of this discussion will love to get the answer from you. So how do you really define yourself?
Just a minute. Now, the husband, Mr. Palmer, he got a little worried that I was being embarrassed and cornered a bit.
About your origins.
About my origins, because she said, all you've said is you're not India. But you haven't said that what you are, and you haven't defined yourself. You define yourself as an Arab, you're not, you're Muslim, everybody is a Muslim, all those countries. So, now I didn't have an answer to that at that time. And it haunted me.
Do you now have an answer?
Now I have an answer because I am an Indus person.
Then how would you explain this thing that Sikhs snatched away the Peshawar Valley from Durrani rulers of Afghanistan? British took away large parts, almost 50% of the present Balochistan from the Afghanistan rulers. Why Pakistan and Afghanistan is then not one nation and one country?
Pakistan and Afghanistan are different countries because again of the physical barrier, the mountains, the Suleiman Range is an amazing physical barrier.
We have more Pashtuns in Pakistan than in Afghanistan.
We have, but they wouldn't call themselves non-Pakistanis. They call themselves Pashtuns in Pakistan are as much Pakistanis as Pashtuns in Afghanistan are Afghanis. What matters, and they may be the same religion, they may be the same creed, descent, language alone will not define.
In a recent interview, General Tariq Khan, who is an Afghan Pathan, admitted to me that the term Pathan is a fairly recent legal invention in Pakistan. By the British time in 1950s, 60s, in the records, government records, Pathans were called Afghans, if you look at the old record. So we were...
But Olive Caro, the governor, a very authentic
The ways of Pathan.
He used the term Pathan for them.
Yes, you have an answer. you have an answer.
My point is that there can be a number of sub-nationalities.
Right.
But Indus person combines the Sindhi, the Punjabi, the Pathan, and the Balochi, and the Kashmiri. And this is what I actually suggest to my Indian friends to recognize the fact that the Indus flowing in one direction, has created over centuries a civilization where the Sindhi border is closer to Lahore because of the boats that brought in trade and than the many areas of the Ganges.
If this definition has to be accepted, where would you place Sikhs, which could have joined Pakistan? Jinnah and Muslim League wanted them to join Pakistan, but Congress was able to prevail upon them for religious consideration. They were Punjabi speaking, same culture, same cuisine, everything.
Two civilizations. There is a place where the tectonic plates meet, and the Indus and the Gangetic. I am not calling it Hindu because there are Hindus in the south of India who are completely different from the Hindus of the north, and the difference is far larger than between the Hindus of North India and the Muslims of North India. So I am not calling it a Hindu region. I am calling it the Gangetic region.
But where do you place Sikhs? Because Sikhs were
No. Sikhs are the attempt to bring these two together.
Islam and Hinduism.
Hinduism. And Guru Nanak, you recall, when and this is what is in the Sikh beliefs and one of their, I wouldn't say legend because it's a genuine belief. I can't call my Islamic
True.
stories as legends. But when Guru Nanak died, there was a contest between the Muslims and the Hindus
How to bury him?
how to deal with his remains. The Hindus wanted to burn him, set him on fire. The Muslims wanted to bury him. And apparently this intense engagement was going on when some stranger but old man came along, and some Sikhs believe that it was Guru Nanak himself who came along, and he said, "What's the argument about?" They said, "Here's our dead body, and he's our venerated elder, and he's died, and we Hindus, we believe he was a Hindu, and the Muslims believe he was a Muslim, so they want to bury him, and we want to set his pyre." So he said, "At least remove the cloths,
The chadar.
the chadar, and let me see." So they removed the chadar, and instead of the dead body, there was flowers.
Yes.
So they were shocked, but half the flowers were buried and half the flowers were burned. And there are two places in this Darbar Sahib Kartarpur,
Right.
where there is a grave of Guru Nanak and the platform where his pyre was lit.
But look at the problem. I agree that this. I have known the legend. Given this passion and belief that Sikhism was the bridge between Hinduism and Islam, Sikhs moved more towards the Hindus over the course of time. If Sikhs had not decided to join Congress in 1947, Sikhs had Lahore, they had the wealth and the land and the businesses in Rawalpindi, large parts of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Gujranwala, Gujjar Khan, Lahore and other areas. And if Punjab would have been with us, Sikhs would have been a very powerful, well-entrenched community in military, in business, corporate, diplomacy and everything. But on religious affinity, they sided with India.
Actually,
This challenges your thesis.
not religious affinity.
How do you define? I mean, they're losers. I mean, if you look at it from that point of view, they would have been half the masters of this.
Oh, they would certainly have been in a very strong position in a nation state, in an independent nation state, had they joined us. But Master Tara Singh waving the sword on the steps of the Punjab Assembly and
And
deciding
saying, "Jo mangega Pakistan, usko denge Kabristan."
Kabristan. Is a mistake, perhaps.
No, you can call it blunder, but the point is there has been an affinity between Hindus and Sikhs. So the whole romanticized saga of Sikhism being a bridge between Hindus and Islam falters on that.
The Sikhs are a very adaptive people. I have been with, walking in Delhi, looking around, going around Humayun's tomb, because the former Chief Election Commissioner of India, Manohar Singh Gill, whose people are familiar with him, Manohar Singh Gill wanted to show me, he was in charge of, put in charge by the government of restoring the monument, Humayun, the monument and mausoleum of Humayun, the emperor, Mughal emperor. And we were going around and I said to him, I said, you will, by the way, Manohar, remember, you will have to drop me at that a certain point. So he said, oh, very good. फिर आप जाके मत्था भी टेक लांगे निजामुद्दीन औलिया.
Agreed.
And we went to Nizamuddin Aulia's grave and tomb. The rush of people towards Manohar. He was a tall man, so he had his blue turban. They rushed towards him. He is a devoted sort of follower and devotee of Khaja Nizamuddin. He is a devoted, he is a devotee of Khaja Muinuddin Chishti. And every Sikh friend that I know of wants to go and pray at these Muslim tombs. And to them it is not so much, they don't feel too different from Pakistan, Muslims.
Sikhs represent a special case. Do you then as a historian feel that India and Pakistan will become at some point friendly states that can work in a cooperative framework in South Asia?
First, Dr. Saab, I may say, when you say I'm a historian,
You're not, I said you don't neatly define anything.
I define myself as an anti-historian because the history that is being taught to my children, I am anti that history.
Agreed.
I am anti cutting us off. You know, in Ziaul-Haq's time, a book was actually compiled on history of Pakistan, where the first chapter, it's somewhere in the files also, first chapter on history of Pakistan was Mohenjo-daro and Harappa. Fine. Because you can't avoid them, you even have them on your banknotes. The second chapter of history of Pakistan was Saudi Arabia before Islam. The third chapter was the message of Islam and Makkah. The fourth chapter was resistance to the message of Islam in Makkah. The fifth chapter was migration to Medina. The sixth chapter was the Medinite state, of which the Prime Minister makes much mention, the state of Riyasat-e-Medina. The seventh chapter was the conquest of Makkah, and about by the 13th or 14th chapter, Islam had gone with the Umayyads to Damascus. And the 15th chapter came back to Pakistan with Muhammad bin Qasim. And in 711, the history of Pakistan starts.
Agreed.
The Guptas, the Ashokas, the
Chandragupta Maurya.
Chandragupta Maurya, the golden age of the Guptas. The Kushanas, the Huns, the Sistanis, Scythians, the Bactrians, everybody is
Wiped out.
wiped out, as if we didn't have mothers and fathers and parents and relatives.
Even in
and
the modern contemporary history, I think Marathas are a very important force to be dealt with in history in the 17th, 18th, 19th centuries. I mean, they've been totally missing from. But Etazaz Sahab, this is also the problem on the Indian side. I brought some books of Indian history. I'm fascinated by Indian history. Beautifully written book for my children. And afterwards, when I discussed with my daughter, she had no idea of Sultanat of Delhi. And I said, what are you talking about? Chandragupta Maurya and then Mughals. And she brought the book. And the book had absolutely no mention of Mahmud Ghaznavi and the, I mean, like from the 9th and 10th century till the Mughal period of 16th century, the book only had 3 pages.
Actually, with the rise of the BJP, and although Vajpayee himself resisted this movement, but there was that lady minister, very important. She was a very nationalist. नाम उसका ज़हन से निकल रहा है. But anyway, there was this attempt to Hinduize the curriculums, and it really started at that time. Under Modi, of course, they have crossed all limits. It's Hindutva now.
So where do you place the modern India then? If you rejected the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, you say it's a state for Muslims, not Islamic Republic. Now where is India stands now?
State with Muslims in the majority, but state for all the Hindus and all the Sikhs and all the Pakistan is
It's a state for all these people.
for all these people.
But where the modern India, which started as a pure secularism, Nehru and everything, and what about it now?
India is in a very, very sad situation. And by sad I mean, technically we should be happy if India is in trouble. But it's the kind of situation that India is, it's not going to disturb itself and be the lesser and reduce itself. It is going to cause a lot of tension, friction, and unnecessary agitation in an entire region. I think 3 people, I used to say, like a Marxist would, that the individual doesn't matter in history. Individual doesn't make history. History makes the individual.
Agreed.
And produces the individual. But I'm going back virtually on that long-held theory, belief in me. I think 3 men contemporaneously, our contemporaries, have changed this world forever.
Like who?
And for the worse. Donald Trump, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Narendra Modi. These 3 men, their impact on history and
I don't see how Benjamin Netanyahu fits into your definition.
Netanyahu, all 3, to my
I
mind,
understand Trump and Modi.
all 3, to my mind, are genocidal. They would wipe out populations. Trump with his white supremacy and supremacists. That is why the movement in reaction is Black Lives Matter. Modi with his Hindutva would finish with wipe out would put every Muslim in jail. He's put 99 million Kashmiris in jail, in an open jail. And Netanyahu is the biggest genocidal of them. Look what he does in Gaza. They call it a war, Israel-Palestine war. What is this a war?
No.
You lock up 1 million people, they have maybe some catapults and they launch some missiles, and you drop bombs on them with the most sophisticated air artillery ever known to man, and maybe not be known for. With that air artillery, their jets, their missiles, they keep bombing them and they call it a war. It's not a war, it's genocide. And Netanyahu is, these three men, their impact on history and the well-being of mankind.
So the answer is clear. You don't see India and Pakistan becoming friendly states in the near future.
No, I think I think they will.
They will.
I think there is no other way to survive but to wipe out this mentality. And at that time, when I was put in jail by Ziaul, and actually that is where Dr. Prison is a kind of for somebody who can take it, a kind of like they say, you do meditate and you detoxify. It kind of allows you to detox, and you start if you start thinking and concentrating on questions in life that you have not been able to answer.
Your Indian critics believe that during the prison time you were confronted by Nehru's discovery of India, letters to India.
Oh yes.
And there you wanted to come up with your answer to that.
Oh yes, indeed. Jawaharlal Nehru is probably, in my estimation, the foremost Indian. Indian. I don't mean India in a larger sense, because we have other people to compete with him.
But he stands head and shoulders.
Oh, he is amazing. And Nehruvian India was truly an India that could probably have led the world. But Nehru had a dream also, a vision, a dream, a passion. And his passion was united India.
No doubt that Pandit Nehru stands head and shoulder above the Indians of our age, of the past 100 years. But his romanticized vision of one India is principally the problem which creates the conflict between the states of India and Pakistan.
It is in the sense that if misused, the Nehruvian concept actually submerges and smothers other minorities and nationalities. Although that was never, and I won't believe that would ever to have been the purpose of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, because he was a very enlightened man. If you read his writings, it's so substantive. His letters to Indira is a big volume, is a huge volume, and his discovery of India is a vision that that comes out very softly. If he has an image of united India, it's a united India with Muslims and with Hindus and with Christians and Parsis. It's not a united India with the Hindu-dominated united India, like the Modi concept of Mahabharata. He doesn't derive it from Mahabharata.
But what's the difference? You know, when you say that Modi, if it continues in the previous discussion, can create a lot of problems for the neighborhood, not only for India. The BJP and the RSS have in a very ironical fashion inherited the same vision of one India. They also think that Pakistan is the flawed state, it should not have been created. And the Congress did the mistake. They have a charge sheet against Congress that Congress should not have accepted the division of the Mother India.
The difference is in one of enlightenment. The enlightened mind, seeing one Pakistan or seeing one India, would and is a soft mind. But the RSS mind is a harsh, militant, and oppressive mind. And there's a huge difference between saying India is one country and we are one civilization and it has many colors. Nehru used the very appropriate name for his concept of palimpsest, where a painting is put in layers, transparent layers. So if the first layer is just the landscape, you put a second transparent, translucent sheet on it with other features, and the homes can be seen. The third layer and roads and human beings can be seen. Like they have in biology books, where the body parts
Sections.
Keep increasing as you. So he used the word palimpsest for the Indian civilization, and that every layer had a value and was integral.
But Etazaz sahab, you being a constitutional lawyer, like Jinnah himself, who was a constitutional lawyer, if you look at Aisha Jalal's book,
The Sole
Spokesman, it looks as if Jinnah's mind frame was towards a loose federation out of the British India, in which your Indus Pakistan could have easily fitted in, with New Delhi being in the center of a broad, loose federation or confederation. It is Nehru's vision of a central India that actually militated against that concept.
More than Nehru, Vallabhbhai Patel's.
Okay.
When this vision of a central India or a unitary India was being put in practice, or actually after it had been divided virtually, and the decision was taken to divide it, Vallabhbhai Patel then came out with his axe and his hammer and bringing in all 600 princely states into India out of 605 by getting their the rulers' consent and decision to join India. Nehru, I still tend to admire and give the benefit of doubt to. But not Vallabhbhai Patel and the militants, the real people who thought that this was going to be.
But Vallabhbhai Patel has subsequently been adopted by RSS and BJP. They have built a huge statue of Vallabhbhai Patel in Gujarat or somewhere. Vallabhbhai Patel is their inspiration now.
Is their inspiration. And
Not Nehru. They're against Nehru.
Oh, that is a soul wound that India is going to have to suffer for a long time.
You think India will be over this?
India is has an enlightened ruling class, a well-read ruling class. You know, the number of books sold per capita compared to us,
It's huge.
and then the number of books written per capita and the number of PhDs and the diversity of the PhDs in India compared to us. We in the premier Punjab University, most of the PhDs you are giving are on Islamiyat or Iqbaliyat. And while their PhDs are on nuclear microbiology or something like that.
Almost everything.
Almost everything. I think they have a course correcting mechanism in that, less than with us.
Though we are told from our interlocutors that Narendra Modi is extremely popular and will probably win the next election in a landslide.
The arithmetic enables him to do that. The arithmetic is that 80% of the population is Hindu. Now, there is a certain form of a complexity, I don't call it a complex, but there's some complexity in their thought, and it would be in ours too. If we were a majority, if Muslims were a majority and had been ruled for 1,000 years by a minority. Now this is 700 to 700 years
Almost 700 years.
of Muslims, and then the British. Under the British also, we were all a majority, an overwhelming majority. But some 300,000 Goras, including tailors and bootmakers, they ruled us. Now, for them to be to find an option of a prime minister who prostrates himself on the floor before a statue of Ram. Ooh, this must be a moving kind of a moment for a Hindu, any Hindu. And suddenly he would be feeling, I am free. This is, but there is a great tragedy in this, because I think that Hindu was far freer when he was the ruling government in India, but he did not have this RSS/Modi ideology. And Modi will...
Your comment makes me think that the rise of RSS and BJP with the feeling of being Hindus as victims in their own large land, first by Muslims and then by British, then it has some very genuine, bona fide roots inside the population. So if it is so, then why would it go away?
No, I think Modi is going to win the elections. It's the arithmetic, straight arithmetic. 80% are Hindus.
But you also said...
And if he gets a majority in the 80%, he's past the post.
But you also said that India has such a large, broad-based, educated intelligentsia that it will be able to overcome itself from the RSS movement.
Oh, it certainly will. I'm clear in that, but that may take 10 years, 15 years. But the RSS Modi years are going to be tragic for India. Tragic.
Thank you.